have to go through first these two modules, then you will understand what is what. Now come to this monitoring tools. How to do this monitoring tools? The most difficult job is you got 40 children in the class. How to monitor the principal or HM or vice principal or AC or DC? How to ensure whether proper learning has taken place or not? There are 40 children. So what we have done at first stage, the teacher will come out with a plan. I got 40 children in my class, in my subject. Out of 40 children, the entry behavior, that means the beginning of the class, out of 40 children, group 1, group 2, level 1, level 2, not these levels. Group 1, group 2, group 3. Group 1 means high order. Whether you teach or not, naturally one group is active and very vibrant. Even if you don't teach, they will do better. That's one group. That is already achieved. Second group is the mediocre group. Third group, where you have to push them. 3 groups are there. In the beginning, you have group 1, group 2, group 3. The teacher himself or herself is going to come out, yes, I got 40 children. These 10 children in this group, 15 children in this group, and 15 children in this group. Already divided. He is going to declare roll number wise, but this is not to be disclosed to the students. Please remember, the student should not know that, hey, bhai, ye to third group mein bhai, idhar jao. Second group mein, no. This is only for the teacher. This is the greatest. I tell you, the moment you.
Good morning, friends. Honorable Additional Commissioner, respected colleagues and fellow teachers. You had heard to the Additional Commissioner's words in the morning, and therefore I don't think that that I can add or substantiate anything. But then I thought I will share 4 points with you. The first point which I would like to share is that when you do something, then you should be first convinced. So what will give you the conviction that we should go for this program? What will convince you? So for that, I think we should go to the various metaphors for education, various metaphors for learning. Conventionally, we are familiar with many metaphors. So I would not like to say or invite your attention to any of those metaphors. But very recently I heard one very unconventional metaphor. So I would like to use that metaphor and then relate how the learning and back to basics are interrelated. This metaphor is learning is like operating a water pump. Learning is like operating a water pump. What is this water pump? How does it operate? To put it simply, the pipe would be immersed to the source, but then for the pipe to be made operational, from some other minor source, water has to be put in so that there is connectivity, no air gap, and once you start the pump, it will pull out. So what does it mean? It simply means when we teach, we don't thrust, but rather we act in such a way as to let that source spring as if it is something coming on its own. And therefore don't look for any questions, any models, any patterns, any samples. So if we can make people come out of his or her own, then we are doing it. And this was what our people in the past had been doing. But somehow in the modernization, we had lost this. So you may ask, do you have a proof? The greatest proof is in our system only, in our country only. Which is the greatest proof for bringing out the thing from within? That's the possibly first documented pedagogy in the world, namely using stories to make learning successful. And that's what the story of Panchatantra is. And I don't have to get into the anecdote how these tales came into existence and things like that. Most of you might be aware of it. So we tell a story, ask a question, make them answers, and that's how learning had taken place. So as one of the very eminent academicians said, it's possibly the first documented pedagogy. So that also is an example of this drawing from within. Whatever is the fellow has, that has to be tested. So then we have a triad: teaching, learning, testing. So what we do, we treat the triad as something independent of each other. I teach, you learn; I test, you take test; I give test, you take test. But then the point is that the triad is not independent of each other, they are linked together. That's what precisely this scheme is. They are linked, and because they are linked, we need to understand that when do I say that I have taught successfully? I can say that I have taught successfully provided I understand there are two senses to the term teaching. What are the two senses? One is what is called as the task sense, the other is what is called as the achievement sense. A beautiful example. Supposing I am a salesman, what do? I identify who can be my potential clients, fix up appointment with those potential clients, go with my materials, make an impressive presentation. These are the tasks that I am supposed to do if I have to be a successful salesman. Same way, transport it to the case of a teacher, and what we do in our classroom inspections is precisely look for the task sense. Is there a plan? Whether the lesson plan has been done properly, whether the teaching learning resources have been carried into the class, whether the teacher has delivered those materials, task sense. We assess all this and then say it's an outstanding class. If you are looking only at the task sense, then this is outstanding. But then you see, the second sense also we should go, achievement sense. Who is to achieve? Whether the teacher or the learner? It is the learner who has to achieve as a consequence of the teacher's efforts in the classroom. Effort is on the part of the, initiation is on the part of the teacher, like the pump. Initiation is on the part of the teacher, then the subsequent achievement is on the part of the learner. And therefore, if we have the achievement sense, then only our efforts will become meaningful, and this testing is basically to ensure that the achievement sense is properly brought back to the attention, brought back to the focus. And of course, we also have a notion. And what is that notion? Testing is decoupled from learning. But then conventionally, testing is one more opportunity to learn. Conventionally, the idea of test is to give one more opportunity to learn. Why or how it is one more opportunity? I think I should not take time. I will stick within my 10 minutes that's given to me. So we should understand that it is one more opportunity to learn. If not learn, one more opportunity to strengthen and enhance what we already know. And therefore, if you are going to have in lab kind of questions, mere recall kind of questions, you are not going to achieve any purpose. And if you are going to give samples and exactly along those lines, if you are going to ask, again you are not going to achieve anything. And hence, please see that the questions are appropriately designed, and how do you help your teachers to design questions appropriately should be the task of the training that we do when we get back to our regions. It should be having a direct link to what's been transacted in the classroom. As a teacher, what I would expect my learner to learn, and when I say learn, then I need to bring in the present day understanding of learning. The present day understanding of learning is said to be complete provided I own the knowledge which comes out of the learning. I own that knowledge. How do I own that knowledge? It's again very simple. I can say I own the knowledge provided I have the ability to use it. This is something like laws, theorems, statements, everybody knows it. But then you give a problem, people are unable to do it. So knowing and using, they are different. Knowing and using only becomes ownership in the case of knowledge. And therefore the teachers should be having the ability to train students to use, and the testing should be able to test whether the children have the ability to use whatever they have acquired, and that's how the test items are to be designed. And the third thing I would like to say about is constructing a good quality test item is a very tough task, as our additional commissioner has very clearly said. But then today in the digital world we are having so much of support. So I will give you one simple tip. You can pass it on to your own teachers when you get back. Almost all the advanced educational systems, they have made their test items available online for free. Only thing we should know how to look for such kind of the test items and then go through them, pick out which are the ones that are applicable to us in that particular level and how exactly they can be amended or modified in the given context, or taking a cue or inspiration, how we can design something on our own. That ability we have to test. So 2-3 things we should remember. Internationally they follow a yardstick. If you are looking for material for say standard 6, if you type standard 6 you will not get the relevant material. In your search you should put K-6. So that simply says kindergarten to grade 6. That 6th grade level if you are looking for, if you put K-6, you will get test item.
That means a class 6 child should also remember and retain the ability.
Has been said regarding as far as why is concerned, and we all have gone through these experiences, but still I would like to mention one instance which is cited in NCA document. You all must have read it, that and that is an actual happening in the classroom when teacher asks where does the light come from. I hope you are able to recall that where does the light come from. Child answers from the sky. Then teacher, it was an inspection class, so teacher wanted to elicit an answer. So teacher asked, from sky where does it come from? Child says clouds. So how the light comes into the clouds? The child says from the God. So then the teacher keeps asking, and then she says, okay, what answer teacher was looking at, of course, was sun. And the child, then the teacher is further asking, okay, but where else you have seen light? And the child then says, light comes from mixing of colors. So this is one instance. Then I had a personal experience. I had gone on a surprise visit to one school, and the attendance was really thin. Half the school was missing, the students were missing, and very curious reason was that was a solar eclipse was happening somewhere, not visible from that point in India, but solar eclipse was there and children never turned. I scolded the science teachers that you are totally responsible for this kind of situation. So we all know that Sir has already said that there are learning gaps, where a good metaphor has been given. So these learning gaps remain, and they keep accumulating, and when PGTs, they keep complaining. We address the PGT most of the time because of results. They say when they are coming to 11, they don't know anything about biology, the basics they don't know. That word basics comes there. And so that is, I think that answers the why part of it. And this sir had given the idea that it should be, the focus should be the learning outcomes, since we are talking of the problem is in the learning. So how does the learning happen, or why the learning is not taking place? We need to discuss on those, we need to at least focus on those points. And so naturally the approach would be the learning outcomes and learning indicators that NCERT textbooks that has been taken. And for EVS as well as science, it has been beautifully described, the learning outcomes versus learning indicators. Learning outcome is not very big difference. Learning outcomes are in a broader sense, and whereas learning indicators are very specific, pinpointed process, and learning indicators vis-a-vis the process, the learning process that is, or teaching learning process together, pedagogical process that is happening in the classroom. So that booklet is given. So please go through those learning indicators. Then definitely we would know that. So why this learning is not happening? That is the approach has been. The group which has made the worksheets in case of EVS and science, that in classroom we have the responsibility to create that atmosphere, provide that opportunity to the child to take care of those learning gaps. So those worksheets have been designed from that point of view, that those learning gaps are taken care of. So that when they go to from next class, they go prepared for taking on more information, and those learning gaps are taken care of. So that we will discuss as we meet in groups, I guess, for now. Because those I would like to discuss in detail about the as per NCERT document, that what are the pedagogical processes in EVS. They have discussed 10 processes, so they should be taken care of, like observation and reporting, discussion, questioning, which never happens in the classroom. So can through the even in assessment activities, as Murali sir said, assessment is part and parcel. So that questioning and expression can be taken care of. As sir rightly said, that we want only the right answers. So instead of looking for the right answers, can we through these worksheets which have been included in the manuals, can that parts, expression, questioning, these can be given sufficient chance in the classroom, so that the learning happens in the desired manner. So, thank you so much.
Okay, friends. Now,
our friend, philosopher and guide, Shri U.N. Khaware sir, my senior colleagues, Shri D.T.S. Rao ji, Shri Murali sir, Sai Ranga ji, Chandana ji, learned assistant commissioners and principals, and other teachers. First of all, I begin by thanking Khaware sir for giving me this opportunity to be here with all of you. Although in development of this study material, this material which has been developed, I was not involved in a big way, but still I am made a part of this orientation program, you may call it. So I am really thankful to Khaware sir and higher authorities of Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan for giving me this opportunity. And with my full heart, in fact, I appreciate the monumental work which has been done by many KV people. Many DCs were involved, and it's been led by D.T.S. Rao ji, P.V. Sai Ranga Rao, Madam Chandana, Jaideep Das, and many other assistant commissioners have in fact contributed, many teachers have contributed, and in fact we must, through our full heart, we must acknowledge and we should express our gratitude to their labor. And this work has now it has taken a concrete shape, and there are a lot of symbols here. In fact, Raoji was mentioning there are a lot of symbols here. We have our KVS logo, and there is one special logo, I think, for back to basics. For back to basics, mirror image of back is there, so that's a beautiful logo. and on the back side this quote, Vidya Dhyasen Rakshate. This also, I think it must have been taken from some Upanishad or not?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been taken from some Upanishad. Vidya Abhyase Rakshate. And at the center we see a banyan tree. And in fact I was thinking, I don't know whether it was a deliberate or it just came into.
No, we wanted to showcase roots. So when we say back to basics, so that every tree has the ability to mean that we don't need new roots. Still we need new roots.
Oh, that's a good addition. That's a good addition. In fact, I was thinking, and then I thought that every tree grows. You know, it's a small sapling. It takes nutrition from ground. It draws on the nutrition from ground, and then it grows. And a banyan tree, when the roots grow from the top and they go back to the ground, perhaps it completes the cycle. You take the nutrition and then you become, powerful. You you develop your strength, and then give back the nutrition to the roots from where you actually took the nutrition. So that's a good symbol. In fact, the symbol at the front is very good and very apt, and it actually explains that we have to convert every child into an empowered human being, and in the beginning he draws on the strength from society, and then finally when he grows and becomes an empowered individual, he actually feeds the society. He draws the strength from society, and then actually it strengthens, the individual goes on to strengthen society. So that's a very apt, and I hope you would agree with me that this symbol, which is there at the center of each of the 10 books, I mean, there could not be any other symbol more suitable than this. Now friends, back to basics. This whole project has been entitled as Back to Basics. And in fact, here, let us learn with fun. Let us learn with joy. This is also very relevant. In fact, if you would agree with me that for most of us, the learning is not joyful. If you go to class, and why I'm saying so, some of you might take offense to my statement, but if you go to class, and why I'm saying that learning is not joyful, because if you go to any class, and if you take a random sample of children's aspirations as to what do they want to do in their life, very few students would say that I would prefer a teaching profession, or I would like to teach in my life, or I want to make a living out of teaching. I hope you would agree with me. Do you agree with me? Or? Yes. Most. There may be very, very small minority of students who might say that they want to make a living out of teaching profession. Now, if teaching has to become joyful, and if it does become joyful, then in fact most of the students, they should prefer, or at least substantial number of students should prefer to make teaching as their chosen dream. They should. If we are able to make teaching learning joyful. So back to basics, this program, as it unfolds in Kendriya Vidyalayas, it should bring a lot of joy in our classroom, in real classroom situation. It should be joyful for teacher, it should be joyful for students, it should be joyful for everybody. And the indicator, for everything there is an indicator. You said the learning indicator. What is the indicator for joy? The indicator for joy would be when they start preferring teaching profession. Because teaching profession is perhaps the only profession which gives you maximum learning.